Hi again, everybody. I'm Jack Flanagan. Welcome to this week's edition of Inside Golf. Here's what's coming up on this week's show.
We're at Aronimink for the 33rd Jay Sigel Invitational, a charity pro-am benefiting Penn Medicine's Abramson Family Cancer Research Institute, and the first invitational since Jay Sigel's passing in April. Then we're at Llanerch for the 29th Jim Maloney Golf Classic, Coaches vs. Cancer, Philadelphia's annual fundraiser, with Big Five coaches and MC Amy Fadul supporting the American Cancer Society and Hope Lodge. And our teed-off panel has assembled at Llanerch Country Club to preview this year's Ryder Cup. Inside Golf starts now.
The 28th season of Inside Golf is presented by Destination Montco Golf, the first tee of Greater Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Association of Golf Course Superintendents, the Golf Association of Philadelphia, GAP, Jersey Man and Philly Man Magazine, and Inside Golf's partner since 1998, the Philadelphia section of the PGA.
Golf is the great equalizer. For many, this journey is an escape from reality, a chance to be part of a team, a career opportunity. PGA Reach impacts lives through golf by lifting people up, giving them hope, and sending them down an alternate path that they never saw coming. With PGA Reach Philadelphia, as in life and in golf, the most important shot you take is the next one.
John planned his dream golf trip himself. The hotel didn't live up to the photos. His transportation was late, his clubs got lost, so he had to use rentals, which he is now breaking. But you booked your trip with All Access. They planned your hotels, food, car service, and tea times. Don't be like John. Be smart like these two.
Psycho.
All Access, the smart way to book your golf vacation.
Recently, the 33rd annual Jay Sigel Invitational was held at Aronimink Golf Club. Let's take a look.
Philadelphia lost a giant in April. After R.J. Siegel's passing, the 33rd Jay Sigel Invitational at Aronimink carried on in his honor, benefiting Penn Medicine's Abramson Family Cancer Research Institute and continuing a tradition that has raised over $5 million.
This has always been a special event for 30 years, at a special place, a name for a special person, and we're thinking about Jay a lot today, and our best to Betty. And we're delighted to be here. We're both physician scientists. We run laboratories. We think that was the right career choice this morning, not to be a golf pro.
33 years ago, Jay started the tournament because his dad had recently passed away from cancer. So he wanted to have better outcomes because his father struggled with that. So in about a decade in, they looked around and said, you know, it's a bunch of guys out here, we should try and do something. So that evolved into prostate cancer. And then 16 years ago, I was diagnosed, and post-treatment at Penn, somebody said to me here, because I'm a member at Aronimink, somebody said to me, hey, there's this guy, Jay Sigel, and I said, well, I know who he is. And they said, well, he has a charity golf outing that helps raise money to try and cure prostate cancer and have better outcomes. So I said, I need to get involved in that. So I met Jay. I've been involved for the last 15 years, and about a half a dozen years ago, he looked at me and said, someday when I leave this earth, you're going to be in charge. Sadly, he's no longer with us. And so we had a really, really good relationship. I mean, he would be very direct with me when he needed to be. And it was, most of our conversations were about the tournament and about each other's families and what was going on. So it really evolved into just a very close friendship that was important to both of us because we knew what the outcome of raising money for having better outcomes at Penn Medicine is.
I've known Jay Sigel almost my entire life, so for 40 years. And Jay was the chairman of the First Tier Greater Philadelphia, which was the organization that stemmed out of the Greater Philadelphia Scholastic Golf Association, which started back in 1981. Jay was heavily involved, so Jay was involved with that organization for 45 years. Jay passed the torch of leadership to Michael Brown back in 2017. And Jay was so passionate about First Tee, but he was mostly passionate about really cancer research and his own tournament. So, he was really excited to be able to pass the torch to a great leader so that he could fully focus on his great desire to fund cancer research.
On behalf of the scientists at the Abramson Family Cancer Research Institute, who are working hard every day, including this very minute, working to find cures, working to find better treatments for patients with cancer.
I played golf this morning with two doctors that are sitting right here. We're this close from getting a pancreatic cancer. The outcome is 4% of the people survive. There's a blocker, an inhibitor. I'm not sure what the science is because I'm not a scientist, but they were telling me that they're really, really close to getting research to the point where the survivor rate is going to be 50%. If we can help push that number out significantly higher, think about the impact that we're going to be having on thousands and thousands of people. That's our goal. So we're trying to have better outcomes, but we're also trying to get better access. Those two things are really what we're all about.
He was a good dude. He was really a good guy. Look at this tournament still going on, and I am so honored to be here tonight to be the guest speaker. There are some people in this world that are just really, really good people, conscious of their God, conscious of their family. He had some hardships coming through all that and seemed to handle them because of his faith in God and his faith and his ability to play golf. We both went through serious operations. He evidently got back to play the game that he loved. I never did, but that's okay. I got to play in the NFL for 3 years, and I'll take that rather than nothing. There's where we had another, we had another plus that the two of us shared. Professional, he was playing with the professionals, I was playing with the professionals, and we talked a little bit about, hey, did you ever think you would be doing that when you were a kid? And I said, yeah, I used to go out in the backyard and pretend, and I would always pretend.
Well, I think to be fair, you'd start with the fact that he was supremely talented. From the time he was a kid, it looked like he could be one of the best golfers of all time. He was supremely talented. But he went through a lot of difficult years due to a serious injury in college that was a great setback for him. And he rebuilt his game. That became kind of most of the reason why he remained an amateur, because he didn't feel he had the stamina to play golf every day. But he actually, kind of carved out a place for himself in terms of his style of play, his ability to concentrate, to sort of block everything else out and focus on what had to be done at that moment. And in his early days, he had trouble with match play, for instance, and he went about, by the time he won his second U.S. Amateur, you'd have to say one of the greatest match play golfers of all time. He just dedicated himself to it.
So at his celebration of life, I stood up and I looked at everybody and I said, after he passed, I watched the Golf Channel and there were some things on NBC and everybody got his golf career right and how, maybe the best amateur since Bobby Jones, arguably. Gary Player says that, not me. So that's a pretty good message if it's coming from Gary. But what I said is that they missed the important part of the story. There are people here on property today who are playing that were very involved with First Tee. Jay was involved with the First Tee of Philadelphia for over 30 years. Chairman of First Tee of Philadelphia for a long, long time. The impact he had on hundreds and hundreds of kids is profound. Take that and then also say this tournament and the $5.5 million that has been raised, yes, fabulous golfer, fabulous on the golf course, but think about the impact he had on kids, think about the impact that he's had on people's lives through cancer treatment and getting access, and he would be happy to know that we're celebrating that.
In this day and with nonprofits, and I see a lot of nonprofits, most of them are a flash in the pan, and the longevity of this tournament and the fundraising that he's done is immeasurable, and it's really a remarkable accomplishment. It's so hard to have something, to continue with the inertia that he did, and with the support that he has and the respect that he has from the golf community, and the business community, I'm confident that it's going to continue to fund cancer research and do great things for our world and the local community.
How can we do more? You can text Sigel 2025 to this number, 76278. It's on these placards. Another way to contribute. Anyway, thanks so much, everybody. It really means a lot for a great event and a great person.
Well, thanks to everyone at the Jay Sigel Invitational and Aronimink Golf Club. So much great work that they do every single year to raise money for cancer research. Don't go anywhere. We'll have more of Inside Golf coming up in just a minute.
The Golf Association of Philadelphia. Founded in 1897, GAP is the nation's oldest regional or state golf association. We serve amateur golf in Eastern PA, Southern New Jersey, and all of Delaware. GAP welcomes all golfers, junior or senior, male or female, public or private. Join the Golf Association of Philadelphia today. Our mission is always to preserve, protect, and promote the great game of golf. Before you tee it up, look us up. Visit gapgolf.org to find out more.
Yep, just as I suspected. Your entire family is too plugged in. Now, there's a treatment. Your offline Oasis 08s in Montgomery County, PA. You may experience moments of euphoria, a rush of culinary cravings, a lot less screen time, and more we time. You may even reconnect with nature. Unplug in Montgomery County, PA. Side effects may include budget-friendly fun and memories that will last a lifetime.
I want to welcome everyone to the 29th annual Jim Maloney Golf Classic.
Coaches versus Cancer on a national basis started in 1993. Norm Stewart was the coach at Missouri at the time and kind of got this thing going. And then a couple years later, 1996 to be exact, Phil and I are coaching at our respective institutions, St. Joe's and Penn at the time for me. Said, you know what, we got to get into this. And we should start a golf tournament. And we'll make a lot of money and give it to Coaches versus Cancer and everybody will be fired up. And before we had the golf tournament, we decided to have a breakfast. It was basically our first event. And it was one of the Applebee's on City Avenue many years ago, and we got together and there wasn't that many people there, but we started the ball rolling. And after that, I have to give Martelli the most of the credit, to be honest with you. And then I was just going to be his co-pilot after that. And we just started to do as much as we could. We never said no. And we started to get the ball rolling a little bit.
Hawks head coach, Steve W. LaSalle coach, Jay Sigel. Villanova head coach, Kevin Willard. Temple head coach, Adam Fisher. And Penn head coach, Fran McCaffrey.
30 years ago, Phil Martelli and Fran Dunphy co-founded our chapter along with the other big 6 schools. And since then, we've continued that journey of having all 6 schools involved, and it's something to be a part of in the greater community, and cancer stops for nothing, and they're always willing to jump in and help the fight. This is our 29th year of the Jim Maloney Golf Classic, and it raises funds for Coaches versus Cancer and the American Cancer Society. Some of those funds go to resources such as cancer research, our Hope Lodge, which we have here in Philadelphia, as well as our Road to Recovery systems. We are absolutely the #1 fundraising area in the nation in terms of Coaches versus Cancer. This comes from great events such as our golf outing today, as well as our gala, our breakfast, our luncheon, and our school and youth program.
I'm totally biased as far as Philadelphia is concerned, but it's a special place, and if you need help, the people in Philly are behind you. I think we all have a philosophy that we are at our happiest when we are doing for others. And I think that really speaks well to the people in Philly. Yeah, will they bust on you a little bit and make you pay for an indiscretion? Yeah, they will. But you know what? They'll always be with you if you need help. And I think that's a tremendous opportunity for us to have a legacy like that. I think so. I'm very grateful for everything Philly's done.
Anytime you have one of these positions in the Philadelphia area, it's a great privilege and honor that you get to be a part of the Coaches versus Cancer coaching community. And events like this, our fall tip-off luncheon, our breakfast right after Selection Sunday or the gala, you get to be a part of things that bring awareness and resources and funds to help. As Phil Martelli has always said, and there's no better way to say it, we're trying to crush cancer. This is 6 different schools in the city of Philadelphia that are all coaching and working together on the same team to crush cancer and to make an impact far beyond a 2-pointer, a 3-pointer, or a free throw. We're trying to do everything we can to help the medical community have the resources they can have so they can continue to grind away and research and find a way to crush cancer once and for all.
You were hired as the assistant and now you're the head coach and you're kind of navigating that. How has it been? I mean, you're trying to kind of talk to the players.
Yeah, it did start me, but I would say these guys will know what I mean. When you're an assistant, you can be your best friend. They let me guard that. What hit me hard when I was about 36 years old, my best friend came down with a very strange, different cancer and left 3 kids and a wife behind. And it's probably when I first even thought of cancer. And right now, one of my former players at Boston College, Chris Kowalski, who's got a scan this week about colon cancer at age 35, fighting with 2 kids at home. And so no one's immune to this. And that's what it's all about, is trying to figure out a way to stop this as we can. And we've made great strides, and I think the coaches can do as much to keep that going. I was away from Philadelphia for 16 years. I was in Ithaca, New York, and Boston, Mass. And there's nothing like this. They're jealous of the energy that we brought and the camaraderie that now 6 schools can come together. They envy us for a lot of reasons, because they would love to do it. So I do think it's a sense of the coaches doing it. But as I said earlier, it's a community that really embraces us, and they love college basketball. It's a big part of the fabric, the sports fabric of our city. And here we get a chance to interact with these people for a great cause, and it's been an incredible marriage.
We're trying our best to continue this, and really, in all honesty, because the 2 of us are gone, I'd love to see the present 6 Big 5 coaches do what they can do to keep this thing alive, and almost like I think it's our charge to continue to have the Big 5 be a vibrant entity. And so we're grateful for it. It's amazing the amount of people who have gotten behind this cause. And I can't tell you the number of people I get a call from. My sister has breast cancer. What do I do? But we do have a connection, and we can help people do some things. And I think if that's the end result of what this whole program is all about, and the research that we can do, and the Hope Lodge that we can help get to be better, that's what we want to do. So I'm very grateful to the city of Philadelphia for getting behind the Coaches versus Cancer program for this many years of making it viable.
Our teed-off panel is brought to you by Llanerch Country Club.
Welcome back to Inside Golf. I'm Harry Mays, coming to you from Llanerch Country Club's Ross Pub, where we have convened once again our teed-off panel. And we start with the far right down there, Lulu's own Jim Sullivan, the resident stick of the program.
Thanks for having me.
Good to see you, Sully. Joe Logan from MyPhillyGolf.com. Great to see you, Joe.
Good to be here.
And Michael Brown, the president of the First Tee of Philadelphia. Always great to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Well, guys, we got Ryder Cup coming up here in a couple of days. And every 2 years, it's one of the greatest events in sports. Keegan Bradley, the team captain, was the talk of the summer as to whether he was going to be a playing captain, the first since Arnold Palmer back in 1963, I think it was. He decided to just be the captain. Was that the right move, Sully?
I admire it, right? So what a great tease for the last year, because he's one of those guys that wouldn't have been in a lock in the top 5 if he has a great few months maybe, but close enough that it was a realistic pick.
Yeah, he was in the top 12 in the standings, yeah.
And he said a year ago, unless I qualify on points, I'm not picking myself. And there was speculation, and he never squashed the speculation. So maybe he was looking for some extra eyeballs on that press conference. So I admire the decision. I'm glad he did what he did.
But he has been playing great golf.
The tease was great though, because everybody thought they knew, nobody really knew. And I agree with Sully. I think it's the right move. He decided to take the captainship, and he's been, when they were here for the Truist, he had a meeting at White Marsh with the guys he thought they were going to be. He was the captain.
Right.
And I don't know if you play in your own event and stuff. It's really hard to manage all that at that level with all that pressure. I think he's doing the right thing.
Well, so much has changed since the 60s with regards to responsibilities for the captain. So I guess it really would have been a difficult ask to do both.
I think he made a smart move because, I mean, he could be the hero now as a captain, but if he were to play and lose a bunch of matches, he could quickly turn himself into the GOAT. He was an unusual pick in the first place because if you look back over history, the Ryder Cup captain is generally almost 50 years old.
Right.
Somebody who's the playing thing is not an issue for those guys. So he's only, 38 or 9, something like that. That in and of itself is unusual. And I wonder if he didn't get that, if they didn't pick him, if you remember, he was somewhat embarrassed last year.
He was snubbed.
Yeah,
Snubbed.
and it was all on camera.
Yeah.
And
Right.
Zach Johnson came off like the GOAT in that, I thought. It was very inconsiderate to do that to a fellow player on TV. And I wonder if they didn't sort of feel guilty and give Keegan the captainship.
Well, I think they originally thought Tiger would take it, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
New York and Tiger, talk about total chaos.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be total chaos anyhow.
Oh.
You're right. And I think that Keegan will add to that. I think he's a perfect pick for New York. He went to St. John's. He was a great player there. I have one funny story in that the European team in Dubai had hired hecklers already because they knew 10 of the 12 guys were going to make the European team. They were already heckling them, and they hired Americans. The Europeans hired these people to go heckle people, and they had police that were also part of the program to then calm them down, then they'd start again because they wanted to get used to what it would be like.
Wow.
So they're going at it differently, and I was told...
Did they get real New Yorkers, though?
They had beers, they had everything. It was going to be like crazy. They were actually real comedians that they hired.
So let me ask something, though, on the Keegan topic and the whole captaincy. I agree that he shouldn't have tried to do both, but is there anything more overblown than the Ryder Cup captain role now, where somebody has to essentially remove themselves from the rest of the world to do this job for 3 days? I got to tell you, other than a 2-week warning for a hurricane and you have to clear out the state of Florida, there's nothing else more overblown than the Ryder Cup captain.
That said, it's gotten more difficult in recent years because they went from 3 or 4 captains picks to 6,
Right.
which really puts the onus on the captain to make some good choices.
Sure.
It's a great way to turn down requests. No, I got to captain
Well,
this
okay.
Ryder Cup team. I can't come to your event.
Fair
Well,
enough.
what do you think about his captain's picks?
Chalk. I think he went right down the chalk. Once he was off the list, and obviously that you didn't know that until he'd picked the 6. And there's a couple debatable, but the guys that he picked, right? Colin Morikawa gets he's getting a little shade right now because he hasn't had a great year. How are you going to leave a 2-time? He's like the 8th or 9th player in the world, 2-time major champion, and he's borderline along with Maverick McNeely or whatever. I like Maverick McNeely, but
Yeah.
this is not this was straight down the chalk if you ask me.
Well, if Russell Henley doesn't make that chip shot on 16 at Bay Hill, Colin gets his win.
Yes.
And we're probably not talking about it being a controversial pick, but Ben Griffin, one of the rookies. There's 4 rookies on the American team. How do you think that plays out?
I think it plays out the other way. I'm a fan of the Europeans. I think there is something to say about experience in this and the craziness. And hey, great players. Where did he win? He went in Louisiana. He went something else. He played pretty good in the majors.
Mm-hmm.
But there's just something about playing in the Ryder Cup. And I can't imagine what it'd be like to play for your country. It's a whole nother level of pressure.
Yeah,
Absolutely. But how does the team stack up to Europe in your view? I think Europe is deeper. 1 through 12.
I'm an American born and bred, but I wouldn't put $20 on them to win this one. You better give me good odds, right? The Europeans want this more than they want anything else. The American team wants it that week. The Europeans want it for the whole 2-year cycle.
They do.
Well, who wins, Joe?
I would give a slight favor to the Americans, but only because they're playing in a place where the Europeans are going to get shouted down, and the Bethpage fans are going to be a major factor in this, I think. I mean, where else better than New York City? I remember at Shinnecock, trains and trainloads of people were coming all the way out to the far end of Long Island. But for this is practically a cab ride.
Should be a good watch. It'll be must-watch TV in my house for me, at least for me.
Since I started watching the Ryder Cup, which was in 1991 at Kiowa, there's been 16 of them, and Europe has won 10. out of those 16.
Yeah.
It's really changed since the way it
Chip-
used to be U.S. dominance.
Oh yeah, they mopped the floor with them for years. That's why it went from being just GB and I, Great Britain and Ireland,
right,
to
to
Europe.
include all of Europe.
Had to even the fit sides.
When does the Walker Cup start doing that? That's still GB and I. And that was a dominant performance by the United States.
39 wins and 6 losses for that.
Yeah.
Like crazy.
Well, the Ryder Cup is one of the greatest events in all of sports, and it should be another great one at Bethpage Black. That'll do it for this week's edition of Teed Off from Llanerch Country Club. I am Harry Mays, and thanks to our panel. But don't go anywhere. There's more Inside Golf coming up next.
Hi, I'm Coach Z, PJ Director of Instruction at Overbrook Golf Club. I'm here with my student Aiden, who's struggling with his driver. He can't keep it in the fairway, and he's having a little bit of a power outage. So one drill is going to accomplish both. When he takes it to the back of his backswing, he's going to make sure that he gets his chest to 90 degrees of turn. That's going to get his club path a little bit deeper, and it's also going to help him with his power outage. If you're having trouble with your driver, use these pro tips or go see your local PGA golf professional.
Hi, Tony Salucci with the Beacon Group of Companies. If your company has between 50 and 500 employees enrolled in your health insurance plan, there's a really good chance we can reduce your costs significantly and increase the benefits employees receive. How do we do it? We put you together with several thousand employers of a similar size across the country so your company can get amazing buying power. Schedule a conversation with one of our employee benefits specialists today at mybeacongroup.com.
That's going to do it for this week's edition of Inside Golf. I'm Jack Flanagan. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time right here on Inside Golf.
The 28th season of Inside Golf is presented by Destination Montco Golf, the First Tee of Greater Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Association of Golf Course Superintendents, the Golf Association of Philadelphia, GAF, Jersey Man and Philly Man Magazine, and Inside Golf's partner since 1998, the Philadelphia section of the PGA.